and welcome to the latest edition of the GUTSY podcast. That's just well into double figures now, so thanks everybody for watching, downloading, listening, wherever you may be. It means a lot. We've had some absolutely unbelievable, inspirational guests on. Everybody really, really different, and I have to say, it's a massive honour to be able to host and to be a little bit of a platform and GUTSY for sharing these stories, because there's impact and so many people are resonating with them. I am delighted to share our latest guest today, Cairn Murphy, musician, producer, songwriter, guitarist, handsome devil.
All right.
How are you, Cairn?
I'm all right. How's yourself?
Aye, good. It's good. It's nice to see you. It feels like I've not seen you for a while.
How are you? I know.
Aye. No, I've not missed you. You've never been far away, but...
No, I've not.
When we're recording the podcast.
I know. I'm letting you know.
And you're here.
I'm here.
And you're here. And I'm going to share this with people watching today. Talk us through the bag that you came in with, Cairn. Tell us what you've brought.
No matter what I do, Derek's always going to rip the piss out of me. No matter what I do, you know.
No, I feel that anybody who comes to, I don't even think just a podcast recording or anything, you've, just so everybody at home knows, Cairn has come with what can only be described as a family-sized bag of definitely goodness, but in many ways badness, from Greg's.
Yes.
He's came with 42 sausage rolls, I don't know how many donuts, and yum-yums and all sorts of things. Now, is it be fair to say you're trying to bulk up, Cairn?
I'm trying to put on some weight, so I just need to eat as much as I possibly can, you know.
So Greg's is going to do that for you?
Greg's will do that for me, exactly. A few sausage rolls for my breakfast will get me there, you know.
But I would just like to say as a disclaimer that the GUTSY podcast definitely does not the GUTSY podcast does, I don't think condones the right word. What's the word I'm looking for? Does not support a Greg's sausage roll for breakfast. Yeah. Although I have to say,
it's the best thing.
It's magnificent.
It is, honestly.
I have to say.
That's a good thing about being a skinny guy, you know. You can eat all that, you know.
Well, I definitely don't have that problem. I mean, I was dying to join you. I wanted nothing more, but I'll look to it and probably put on half.
Yeah, for me, innit? So more for me.
Absolutely. So, Cairn, what have you been up to?
Oh, I've been up to a lot. I've been writing. I've been recording. I've started a new band with some of my friends at uni and stuff. We've just recorded our first single, which we're hopefully looking to release at some point soon. I've been, just all music, you know, all music in uni.
Brilliant. And if you can share with the guys, what are you doing at uni?
So I'm doing music performing, you know.
Tell us a bit more about that.
Honestly, I don't really know how much else to explain it. I play guitar. It's just dissertations and stuff, you know what I mean? It's all just write-ups and that. It's just kind of your typical uni. You think if you're doing music or that, you'd be doing a lot of playing and gigging and stuff, but it's actually not the case at all.
So it's more the kind of technical stuff behind the scenes and the...
No, not even really. It's more just writing up write-ups, you know, dissertations and stuff, and doing, like, again, not like actual writing essays. I've got a 10,000 word dissertation to write
about what?
Music, you know what I mean? It's, honestly, that's it. I'm doing some placements and stuff as well, where I'm doing some work. I've started private guitar tutoring as well, and then for one of my other classes, I just basically talk about the work I'm doing and stuff, like the bands I'm in, who I'm working with, what my plan is for the future and stuff, and basically just gathering all the evidence for that. So
that's phenomenal.
Yeah,
brilliant. It's fair to say that's the road for you in music.
It sure is. Yeah, that's all I do.
Or well, saying that, if ever they're looking for a competition eating sausage rolls, I think you might win that.
Oh, honestly, I can eat hundreds of them. They're so good.
Oh, I don't know. Do you have tomato sauce with them?
No.
Do you know?
No, I don't have any sauce. Is that a thing? You do that?
Always done a wee bit of tomato sauce in the Greg's sausage roll.
I need to try that then.
Listen, you explain your life experience.
Do we mukbang just now, you know, just get...
let's get them. So, Cairn, fair to say you're in a great place and it's brilliant to see. It's not always been that way. Let's Let's go back, Cairn, to maybe when you're about 17.
Yeah.
About 17, and life's pretty normal.
Yeah. Actually, I'll take you back. I was kind of probably 16 when things really like kind of hit, you know. I remember the exact moment it happened. I was 16, lockdown had just hit. It was like probably the first few weeks of lockdown. We were off school. I remember I'm just sat, I'm facing my friends, I'm playing FIFA, right? And I got this sort of like tight, I don't know, like the only way I can explain it is as if someone had grabbed something inside me, you know what I mean, was squeezing it. I just get this tight feeling. And I remember I got like all panicky and jumpy and stuff. So I didn't know what to do. So then I remember I just went through the bathroom, and I remember just when I flushed, I just seen pink in the toilet, you know, go away, you know. Yeah. And I remember just being like, what was that, you know? And I freaked out. And then I've kind of always grown up with like anxiety and stuff. So like when I get really anxious, I can sometimes just like see things and like just everything like really overstimulating, you know. So I didn't know if I'd just seen it or, you know, because it's just like more at the corner of my eye. And I remember I just like freaked out of this, and that was literally the turning point. It's like you go from just being normal and everything being fine, and then it was literally after that moment, I was like, remember the next day, I was going to the toilet 4 or 5 times, which was very unnormal for me, you know. I went from once every like couple of days to literally the following day was going 4 or 5 times, and that consistently went on.
So there was no end, before you had your kind of toilet episode that you weren't sure if you seen it or not. There was no indication whatsoever.
No, there has been, to be fair. Like, so when I was growing up, I remember I always had like issues with my stomach, but I was always put down IBS. Like, I've been doing therapy my entire life, you know, since I was a wee boy, and I've always had anxiety, and it's always been put down like the IBS, the typical claim for it. You know, and I remember like being like 8 or 9, thinking I might be seeing blood, but I had no idea, you know, what was going on or that, because I was so young and stuff. And then kind of as I got older, sometimes I would see it, and then it would just disappear for like another year, and I would never see it again. So I never thought anything of it, you know. And then it was just at this point, it was just, I seen so much of it, and then it was a turning point for me, you know. It was just, it literally just flipped one day, and I just went downhill for there.
So when you say downhill, so you mentioned you're going to the toilet 4 or 5 times a day.
Yeah.
What you know, how did that manifest? How did you go for there?
So I went from like going 4 or 5 times a day, you know. I was getting more like pains in my stomach. I just thought it was my IBS because of like lockdown happening. I was dead stressed out. Like I'm a big like hypochondriac. Is that the word? Yeah. Big fan. You're surprised at that one?
I'm not surprised at that.
Make sure we get his face on that reaction there. So I just was.
Why would I be surprised?
Tell me, it's your face, you know. So I was just stressed out. I didn't know what was going on. I was going to the toilet 4 or 5 times a day. I was pains in my stomach. I just thought it was IBS because I was anxious about you know, the pandemic or whatever it was called. And then it just honestly just somehow progressively got worse and worse, and I went from 4 or 5 times a day to maybe like 6 months later going 15, you know. And it was like it just kept on going. And
so had you been to see the doctor again?
I tried to, because it was lockdown, you couldn't get like a GP appointment or anything. Right. So I'd phone and like, you've just got IBS. I'm like, this feels different, because I didn't feel anxious, you know what I mean? I was a wee bit anxious, but because I've had my full life of having like IBS, like I'd get anxious and I'd have to go to the bathroom and stuff. But I'd had it long enough where I knew myself, you know what I mean? Like I'd learned what it was like, and I knew like my body, you know. So,
so I think that one of the big things that I can take for what you're saying is that you know in yourself when something's not right.
Exactly.
Even if you know you're almost labelled on the with IBS. And that's been the thing that people would associate with you, or your doctors would associate. But you know yourself that. I know. Nah, this is
just trust your gut more than your doctor. You know what I mean? It's like they were putting it down at IBS. I was in phone calls with them. You know, they wouldn't come see me or that because they didn't think it was serious enough. And, you know, they were then putting me on like anxiety medication, antidepressants and everything like that, because they thought it was just to do with that. And I would take these things and it wouldn't help me. I was still having the same issues and that. And then I was like, really, something isn't right. And then, I remember then I just started noticing blood like every time I went to the toilet. And I was almost like too embarrassed to tell them, you know what I mean? I was too embarrassed to tell my parents, I was too embarrassed to tell the doctors or that, so I would just always miss out that part. And I'm terrified like the doctors in hospital as well, so like my biggest nightmare, I would do therapy from when I was young, because I was so scared of getting sick and everything, you know, because my mum was dead sick when I was wee.
Really?
She had cancer, so I was absolutely terrified like when I was young, of illnesses and stuff, because I watched my mum get so ill, so I thought it was such a horrible thing, which it obviously is.
But nobody can blame you for that, because if you're watching your mum go through such a horrendous journey and you're seeing that, it's only natural that that's going to give you trauma.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So what, if you don't mind me asking, when you said you've had therapy from a young age, at what age and at what type of therapy was that then?
Oh, I think I got my first therapist when I was somewhere between, everything kind of went wrong when I was about 8 years old. That's kind of like both my grandpas were that, like I died, like my mum got ill, like my dog had died, everything. I just remember everything was kind of happening. That's where I kind of get introduced to like death, you know what I mean, and like sort of illness and stuff. So I kind of, everything just spiraled from there. I think I got my first therapist, I got in CAMS, I was 10, 11 maybe. And then that ended up not working out. I hated it. I honestly hated therapy when I was young. I've done loads of it. I've been about 7 different therapists. I've done therapy in school. I've done like multiple therapy, like gone to multiple therapists through the NHS or through private, like healthcare or that. Like I've done lots of things and nothing ever really kind of worked for me. I kind of just learned how to manage everything myself, which is what was great with music and stuff, because that kind of was my therapy, you know what I mean? When I got introduced to guitar and stuff when I was 15, you know, music was the thing that kind of calmed me down, and that's why I got so into it. And I practiced guitar every day, practiced for hours, and like when I got sick and stuff, I had nothing but my guitar, you know what I mean? So that was the thing that got me through everything.
So at the risk of inflating your head on the guitar for even more,
you don't want to do that,
even
exactly,
more. Yeah. Is it possible? I don't think so. I'm only kidding. I know how good you are on the guitar, and you know, and it's mesmerising to watch, and it's a thing of beauty, and we'll hopefully be able to share some action on that in the podcast. But when did you start playing?
I started guitar again. Like I done my first lesson when I was like 10 years old, and I hated it, to be honest with you. Absolutely, I despised it. And that lasted like 2 weeks. It was weird. Because how bad my anxiety was, I couldn't do anything. Like I couldn't go out to restaurants or that, because I'd freak out. Everyone was just so overstimulating for me. I would just have to like run out, and I'd freak out and panic. And I had the same thing with my guitar lesson, my first guitar lesson. It was just too much for me, and I couldn't do it. So my parents tried to get me into guitar when I was about 10. I couldn't do it. So then they gave up with that, and then it was like 13 or 14. They tried again. They're like, we're going to get you guitar lessons, and I tried it. And again, I still didn't really like it, but I didn't have that panic or that like sort of freaking out.
But when you go to do something new, it's easy not to like something.
Yeah,
you know,
exactly.
because you know you want to be Mark Knopfler.
Exactly.
You've got this vision of yourself going up, but
and you're just absolutely rotten to start with, and it's just that puts you off. But yeah, and then I kind of just flipped. It was just kept doing my lessons. My guitar teacher's great as well. He was he was a great guitarist. He always got me really into it. And then it was like when I turned about 15 or 16, kind of just before lockdown hit, I just heard a new type of like blues music. I got introduced into that, and I absolutely fell in love with it. And then that's when I picked up my guitar, started playing, and next thing I knew, I was playing 6-7 hours every single day, you know.
Wow.
Yeah.
So lockdown had its benefits.
Lockdown had its cons and its pros, you know. I had its cons and its pros. I was on the toilet 40 times a day, but I was practicing guitar like mad. So.
Were you still playing the guitar? You don't have it?
No, I don't have a toilet guitar, to be fair. I did think about it sometimes, you know. Just a wee cheap one off Facebook Marketplace, just to, you know.
Well, you spend a lot of time there, so...
Exactly, yeah.
Try to use your time well. Use your time well. Right, I mean, come back on a kind of serious note, if that's possible. You're going to lockdown. I mean, lockdown's horrendous for so many people and for so many different reasons, and you know, we're still feeling the effects of lockdown in society. There's no doubt about that. But one of the things that we got from our community is that obviously nobody could really get the doctors, nobody could really get the hospitals because everybody's focus was on that. So you're in this really terrible situation where you're collapsing inside, toilet 40 times a day, blood. Nobody's listening to you either.
Exactly.
Because, with the greatest respect, everybody's focus is really elsewhere.
Yeah.
What happened?
Like, how did I get
how did you get to see someone? How long did it go on for? When did somebody actually listen?
See, because I was so sick, do you know, it's so hard to sort of like put everything in like a time order, you know what I mean? See, everything's just like a blur to me now and stuff, just how ill I was, and like the only way I felt so disorientated, I didn't feel real, if that makes sense. Yeah. Like I felt as though I was in a dream, I felt as though like, honestly, I can't even explain it to save myself, but I get sick. I started off like when I was, that very first time when I realised it kind of went downhill, I got sick. It just kept progressively getting worse. I wasn't getting any help. And before you know it, obviously like a year and a half's passed or that. I start college. I'm in my first year of college, and I remember I'm just so skinny. I'm just dead pale. I'm having to run to the toilet. I'm bleeding. I was just really, really struggling, and I remember I just started to really struggle to get any college and stuff, and then I even got to a point where like, my mum was looking at me, just like, you're not right, like you look ill, like you look thin, you're pale, you're yellow. At
this point, something that you said really struck a chord with me earlier, Cairn. It was, you weren't telling anybody actually what you've been going through.
Exactly, yeah.
At this point, have you even told your mum?
No. She knew that I was having issues with my stomach. I just hadn't told anyone about the blood. I hadn't told anyone about sort of maybe how often I was going, maybe not to the point it was as bad, because I was so scared of doctors of that. See, in my head at this point, Dr. Google's the worst thing you can ever look at, you know what I mean? You search something up on Google, no matter what it is, it tells you you've got cancer, you know what I mean? You can search up headache and it tells you you've got brain cancer or brain tumour, you know what I mean? So
absolutely, but sadly everybody does it.
Exactly, and I'm a sucker for it. So I searched it up, it's obviously telling me I've got colon cancer, I've got bowel cancer, I've got this or that. That's why I'm bleeding, and I thought I've got cancer, and I didn't, because I was so traumatised with what my mum went through and had to see her so sick and stuff. I thought I was going to have to go through that, and there was a part of me that was like, I'd rather just die than go through that, you know what I mean? So it was like,
and was there a part of that you didn't want to tell your mum because of what she went through and because of the worry that she would
absolutely have? Yeah, and another big thing was I didn't want my family to see me go through it, you know what I mean? If that makes sense. Like, I didn't want them to have to go through that with me or that, so I kept it quiet. I just tried to pretend it wasn't happening. And see, when you pretend that something's not real, that you can trick yourself into thinking like mental things, you can make yourself believe that it's not real or that, or it's all in your head. So I just tried to make myself think that it's just all in my head, it's not actually real and stuff, and I just would do everything I can to not think about it and avoid it,
That is an incredible place to be.
Yeah.
And knowing a good
no
good incredible. Because you've obviously got such severe physical challenges.
Yeah.
That's the only way that I can describe it. And you're trying to block it out, you're hiding it for your friends, you're hiding it for your family, and you've almost put this in a place in the back of your mind that it's not real. Mental health wise, that's no good, surely.
No, it wasn't. That was probably the worst my mental health's ever been, and that was obviously something I've really struggled with throughout my life. And I just couldn't really cope. I just thought, honestly, I just done everything I could just to avoid everything, like all of that. I just would try and not think about it, just focus on my uni work or my college work, my guitar, my music and stuff. And I would just, I honestly, I don't even know how to explain it. I would just do everything I could to not think about it and pretend it wasn't a thing. And then it kind of just got to the point where I couldn't really. By the time my mum was noticing it, I was becoming like, you could see it on the outside. Now it's a disease on the inside, but it was starting to show on the outside, you know what I mean? So
is that because you'd been losing so much weight?
Yeah, I was just dropping weight, and I was already a really skinny guy, never mind with a disease that makes you lose more weight. So I was dropping all the weight. I was just a really funny colour. My mum was like, yeah, you're really, really not well. So I remember it was like I I ended up just breaking down and just started greeting to her, and just was bawling my eyes out, just like, I'm really not well, I can't cope with this anymore. It just got too much for me, I couldn't hide it anymore. And
so you broke, basically?
Yeah, I still didn't even tell her, like, I still didn't tell the full story. I just told her I really need help, like, I'm struggling, like, there's really something not right. I shouldn't have stomach problems every day for like a year and a half, however long it had been. So we phoned the doctors, and or actually my mum phoned the doctors, and she was like, you need to give him a blood test. Like, I don't care, like, you're giving him a blood test, he's ill, like, I can tell there's something wrong. And the doctor even went, she was like, oh, if it'll make you feel better, then he can come down, but we don't really see the point and all this, like they're saying we don't see the point. But and then obviously I went down the next, I think this was like a Friday or Saturday, and I went on the Monday to get my bloods done. And I went in, done the bloods, and I think it was later on that day, that same day I got my bloods, I got a phone call from, it was maybe the next day, I can't remember. I got a phone call from my GP, and she was like, you need to come down like straight away, or like first thing tomorrow morning. I need to check you out. Every single one of my bloods was like, there was like a marker like red or something like that. It was like showing red. It was showing like everything was off. And she was like, we need to get you in for a scope and stuff. We think you've maybe got Crohn's disease or colitis. We need to get you checked out. So I remember I went and told my mum. It was funny, actually, this was a few years, like last week, I got a memory of my Snapchat. So I remember my mum took me to McDonald's to cheer me up and that, because I was like greeting and stuff, and I was like, oh no, I'm ill and everything. So she took me for a McDonald's, and I've got a photo came up saying about that. And then,
it's a mad thing that McDonald's is a treat when it's actually really bad for you.
I know. And the thing is, I couldn't even eat it. I had no appetite. I couldn't eat to save myself.
I was going to say that, and I think that's maybe, see through this, I know you're losing a lot of weight for obvious reasons. Did it totally quell your appetite as well? Yeah, I've grew up with no appetite, Like, I had stages where I could eat loads and stuff maybe when I was growing, but most of the time I couldn't even finish my dinners or that. I wouldn't eat. I'd eat half a meal a day, or that I just could not eat. And that was always something my mum was worried about, and that, and or like my mum and dad, but my family were worried about. I could not get any food down me. The good news is that with the 42 grams,
I can definitely do it now, but couldn't do it then. I honestly, I could not eat to save myself. And then at this point, like when I was going to get diagnosed or that, I remember they weighed me, and I was like 49 kilo or something like that. And at this point, I was about 6'1.5", 6'2", or something. I was 48, 49 kilo, which is really, really skinny. I don't know what that is in pounds or that, if anyone, or stone or whatever the other term is. I have no idea. I just know kilos.
It's no many.
No, I don't think it's many. Yeah, so I was dead skinny. Yeah.
Sorry, you make me laugh.
God.
You make me laugh.
Yeah.
So you've got to the hospital, you've got to the doctors, you've got the blood tests.
Mm-hmm.
They think you've got inflammatory bowel disease of some description.
Yeah.
What happens next?
What happened next? I remember I was kind of left after that. Nothing really happened. I don't want to say exact timeline, because I was so sick. I literally cannot get in my head. I think it was something stupid like they'd left me like 12, 13 weeks, or maybe not even as long as that. It was 6 or 7 weeks. I was left trying to wait on getting a scope. They put me on some iron tablets, and they put me to the medical day unit, as it called, at the hospital. I went there for a few days. They done like some examinations and stuff, and they gave me an iron infusion because my iron levels were so low, so I was so anemic. I forgot to actually mention this point as well. I would stand up and pass out. I couldn't even get up. It'd take me like 3 attempts to get out of my bed. I was always put a chair beside my bed, because I'd stand up out my bed and I'd have to sit down in the chair again, and then to be able to actually get up or that, because anytime I stood up, I'd faint.
Wow.
Or that, so I couldn't even, do a lot of things. So I got iron infusions and stuff, and then they were trying to get the scope, and it just took ages to get me a date to be able to get in. And then when I finally got given a date, the day before I was meant to go in, I never got told that I had to stop taking my iron tablets, which apparently you can't get a scope if you get iron tablets, or because it can affect your colon or whatever, that can affect your visibility somehow. So I then had to wait another 2 weeks after that to get my scope.
Deep joy for that,
I'm sure. Oh, absolutely. And then I finally got the scope, and honestly, that was the worst time of my life. See, getting that scope, I was awful. It was absolutely one of the worst things I ever got.
I don't think anybody's.
If you enjoy it, then honestly, I don't even got to sit, But
I think you should just leave it.
Yeah, It was awful. And then right after it, I remember my mum came in and the doctor came sat with us and like, yeah, his entire colon's like inflamed, like there's ulcers everywhere, you know, it's like, it's really, really bad. And then after that, kind of nothing was happening, no one done anything. And it got to the point where my mum and dad paid for a private consultation. So I went to Stirling for a consultation, and I walked in and the doctor even was like, I'm really not happy with your colour and like how skinny I looked and stuff. And he had to look at my bloods and he was like, you should have been put in a hospital for your blood tests alone because of how bad everything was and how anemic I was. He's like, the fact you haven't been, you know, in hospital yet, it actually shocks me. And he actually apologised to me, my mum, saying the NHS had failed me. And so he was like, he's like, it's an actual joke that nothing's been done for me. I don't even think he charged us for the appointment either because how bad it was. And he...
You might have forgot, you might see this and you'll get a bill plus interest.
What happened next? He knew the main doctor at the ward at the hospital at Wishaw, which was when I was at, and he ended up emailing him or contacting him, and then the following day we got a phone call from him and he was like, yeah, get in the hospital, like, and that's when I first get into hospital and they were like, yeah, you've got ulcerative colitis or Crohn's disease. It was unidentified IBD.
How did you feel about that? I mean, obviously you're not doing somersaults, clearly. But I mean, I think sometimes when human nature is, if you don't know what something is, the unknown increases your stress levels and your worry and your concern. But sometimes when something gets a label, they understand it, then they go, right, now I can deal with that, or try to deal with that. Did you feel in any way like that, or?
Honestly, I was a bit delusional. I thought, first of all, I was happy I didn't have cancer because that was my biggest worry, is that I had cancer. You know, I was like, wow, thankfully I don't have that. And I didn't know enough about Crohn's or colitis. I just genuinely thought, I'm going to go in a hospital, they're going to give me some medication, some treatment, and I'm going to be fine. I'm going to come out here and I'm going to be great.
But I think that's a common thing, Cairn. You know, it's like, all right, okay, we've got a label for that.
Exactly.
It's as you quite rightly say, it's not cancer. Then we can,
I'm good to go.
Give me some tablets, give me some meds.
That's all I thought. I thought that was going to be into it. I was honestly, I was an idiot for thinking that when I think back.
No, not at all. No, I don't agree with you. Because I don't definitely know. How are you know? You've
fair enough. Yeah, I just.
But the fact that, and I think this is challenging for a lot of people who get diagnosed with inflammatory bowel disease. Sometimes it's such a whirlwind, and you're in this haze, and think that it doesn't land. Mm-hmm. It doesn't land that you've got a lifelong condition.
Yeah.
It doesn't land that, let's face it, you're in a very, very serious situation. Not everybody's as extreme as yours.
Yeah.
It's fair to say. Don't get me wrong. There's yours and worse.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sadly, but it's a lot to take in. So there's no reason why you should know anything about it.
Exactly. I'd never even heard of it before. You know what I mean? I'd seen it when I went on Dr. Google. You know, I'd seen it being mentioned or stuff, but like I don't know why. I just always just see cancer, and that's obviously the one I fixate on, the one I focus on. So I'd never really looked into Crohn's or colitis. And then, I just remember being in a hospital, get given steroids. I got kind of given a treatment plan. I was in for, I think about 10 days I was in for. And I got given the steroids and stuff. And don't get me wrong, the steroids actually made me feel a wee bit better and stuff. You know, I went from going to the toilet 35 times a day to maybe 20, you know, which still isn't great, you know, but it was an improvement. So, and then I remember, because my anxiety with hospitals and stuff as well, I lied to the doctors, tell them I was a lot better than I was, just so I could get out of the hospital. You know, I couldn't deal with being in the hospital. I was like, I could not. I was freaking out. I couldn't sleep. Like, I was not sleeping at all. Or that I was just breaking down. I was greeting and stuff. You know, I couldn't cope with being in the hospital. And this is when we were in like another lockdown, and the hospital had to go in a lockdown because of how bad the COVID cases and all that were. So I couldn't see my family or anything like that. So I was in there myself. So the boy who's had to go through at this point maybe like 10-year therapy for medical anxiety and stuff, I was stuck in a hospital myself, having to get treatment for an unknown disease that I'd never heard of or that, you know, and I was terrified, you know. It was the worst thing that.
That sounds like literally your
that
worst
was
nightmare.
my hell. It was my hell. So I just lied. I was like, oh, I'm going to the toilet 4 or 5 times a day. You know what I mean? That's it. The blood stopped. You know, I just was saying anything I could to get myself out of there because they give me the medication and that, and all I had to do was take tablets. I was just lying in a bed, taking the medication every day, and then having to get my bloods done constantly and stuff. I hate it. I couldn't cope with it. So I was just like, I need to get out of here, you know. So I would lie about it. I mean, obviously I regret it now. It was stupid what I was doing. I don't obviously recommend anyone doing that. But
so, I mean, there's no, we definitely don't recommend that. I think in the modern world, if they can get you out, they'll get you out of the hospital to free it up for somebody else.
Absolutely, yeah.
So if you're there for a period of time, you're there for a reason.
I'm there for a reason.
One of the other big things that jumps out at me for this part of your story, Cairn, is the fact that you bottled everything up, never told anybody.
Yeah.
Which is the exact opposite of really what you should do. I totally understand and respect why you did it. But, you know, for anybody, you know, what would your advice be to anybody listening to your story?
Honestly, just talk to someone. That's the best thing you could do. My biggest regret is bottling it up and not telling anyone, because I bottled it up. I made myself so depressed, so anxious, and honestly, at the end of the day, it wasn't worth it. You know, it was just always make sure you've got someone to talk to them. You know, just be honest. You know, it could do you the world of difference. You know, because you're already so mentally drained and physically drained, and that having that on top of that is the worst thing that you can do, you know. And obviously that was a bit that almost was the worst bit, you know, was the bottling it up and the mental side of it. I almost would say that was worse than the physical aspect. Yeah,
because I think just listening to you, you're doing your utmost to lie to yourself.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, effectively, aren't you? But you're lying to the people that love you, who are so worried about you in the first place. And you know, I think it's a message that comes through, and I've mentioned it loads of times on the GUTSY podcast, is talk. It might feel the most alien thing for some people to do, but like, talking and sharing and getting that help, you know, and a phrase that comes through very often on this is find your tribe.
Yeah,
you know,
that's
find
it.
I know you've found yours.
I know, have.
We'll get into that.
You need to get to that, absolutely.
We'll get that a bit later. But at the time, it's so important to talk and try and work things out. So I'm not glad that you regret it in any way, shape or form, but I'm glad that you recognise it, and I'm glad that your story can there'll be people out there that will be bottling things up just now. Yeah,
and that's why I do like my social media thing. I'm always open about it. I tell everyone about it, everyone that I know, I meet and everything know about it. And that's just because I always want to give someone the opportunity to have someone to talk to, because that's something I never had. I didn't know anyone with this disease. I didn't know anything about it. I was the only one. I felt dead alone with it. And, you know, this was like, I was going through this full thing alone. And I honestly, I would have done anything to have what I have now, like then, you know, that would have done me so much good, you know, so.
But I'm going to ask you a question on that.
Go for it.
Would you have taken it then?
Would I have taken it
because
then?
Because you were so much, I'm not saying in denial, but you were blocking it out.
Yeah.
You weren't sharing it with your family. You were in such a bad place physically and mentally. If that was there, would you have been looking for it? Would you? I mean, it's so hindsight's a wonderful thing.
Yeah.
Would you have reached out? See, that's
a good question. Honestly, I did try to. I remember I had a look at different groups of that after I got diagnosed, when I'd done a lot of research, and the doctors or the nurses of that, they gave me a leaflet to Crohn's and Colitis UK. They gave me like a thing
brilliant
to that,
charity.
you know. They gave me that, a leaflet to that and stuff, and like I remember I went and contacted them, I phoned them and stuff, and like it's kind of hard because it's not really very like one-on-one or that, you know what I mean, or one-to-one like you have here. So I did try with that, and I still didn't really feel as though I got to connect with anyone or meet with anyone or that, you know. So I still kind of felt like alone in that aspect. That's a great charity as well, like, you know, but
definitely. But I think even then, looking at like options to reach out. I mean, you've got a pretty strong social media presence, and the people you're very, very open to sharing it. I mean, you've went to full 180. You've went for what?
Exactly, yeah.
You know, the doors are
it's
closed. Say the doors are absolutely open, and that's fantastic. And that is the way to be. There's no question about it. And that's what anybody that we get on the show, or what we hear through our community, the people that share it get so much more. It's such a weight off them.
Absolutely, yeah.
But it's also, I think there's a degree of therapy in that, because you feel as if you're giving back and you're sharing maybe the mistakes that you feel that you've made and stuff like that.
Yeah. It's like almost if it's undone the thing that I messed up with, you know what I mean?
Yeah, but I also think that, like now, I mean, your diagnosis was what, 4 or 5 years, 4 years ago?
4 years. Honestly, I've done something around that.
They're about. But even now, what I can see online, there's so many advocates for inflammatory bowel disease online.
Yeah,
people sharing stuff, and there's some absolutely phenomenal ones out there, and people that are they're a really valuable lifeline for people. So no, fair play to you, Cairn, for that. But when you're still playing the guitar, but it didn't stop you playing the guitar.
No, I did not. Absolutely not. No.
Was that like? Was that almost like a? I know that it's a bit. You've gained a lot of therapy in music. You've got. I want to call it downtime. That's absolutely not fair. But you've got a lot of time in isolation, so you've got a lot of time to practice. That almost became like a superpower, didn't it?
Honestly, it was. It's something like a blessing in disguise. You know what I mean? I see like my full sort of journey as, because that time when I was 6 years, I was ill and stuff, and I was really struggling. But it gave me so much time to sit with my guitar and practice. You know, like I think that's how, like, because I was practicing so much, that's how I managed to get like good in like a short amount of time. You know, like because I was just playing so much. All I done was music. You know, just. The only thing I could do really was that, because like my hobbies before was like I'd done a lot of exercise and stuff. I played football and that. I loved like badminton and everything, and then all of that got stripped away from me. Obviously, as soon as I got sick, I couldn't do any of that anymore in lockdown. So guitar was the only thing I had. I didn't play computer games really either. I wasn't really the biggest fan. I used to love it, but I kind of lost interest in it and stuff. And then so guitar was the only thing I had. So I would just play hours and hours every day. I just absolutely fell madly in love with it, and. Yeah, that was the thing that got me by, you know what I mean? That was the thing. Without that, I don't know how I would have coped. I would just have been sat staring at a wall, you know, so.
Now, when we met, I was introduced, I kind of, before we spoke, I was introduced to your song.
Yeah?
Yeah. We met a funny way. Somebody told me.
I remember how it happened. I was right after my surgery. I was, the day I get let out of hospital, so basically after my surgery you can't get let out until you do like a bag change yourself for that. So I kind of struggled with that. But so on the last day, the stoma nurse came to see me, and she brought like I don't know, she was a student nurse or something like that. She brought someone with her, and I done my bag change and stuff, and then I got told I got to go home. So I was sat waiting on like my medication come, or like for me to get discharged. I was sat talking to her, and I was telling her I want to do anything I can to help people with this, you know, help anyone I can that's struggling or that. And then I was like, I want to work with a charity or that, you know. And she was like, I know someone that runs a charity, and it was obviously yourself. And I'm like, give him my number, you know what I mean? She's like, what does he do? Tell her, like, she was like, wanted to tell you that I was a musician and stuff. So she done that, and then I remember when you phoned me, I remember I was sleeping when you phoned me and all, and I answered the phone, I was half asleep, and I had no idea who I was talking to, I had no idea what was going on. And I had to get you to repeat yourself, because I was like, I have no clue what's happening here.
I bet you wish you'd have stayed this. But we've kind of jumped a wee bit on there, because we've jumped to we've jumped to your stoma.
Yeah.
But let's go back a little bit. So you've got your diagnosis, we know kind of about that, and what's the journey between then and getting your stoma?
So
because you were still really, really struggling.
I get diagnosed, yeah. So I get diagnosed, and I get kind of nothing changed, to be honest with you. Like, you get given steroids, so I get given like 8 steroids, like 5 milligrams. So I don't actually know exactly, but get given 8 steroids, and you take them for a week, and you drop down to 7, so that you just slowly progressively got off them. So every single time I made it to 6 or 5 steroids, I would just completely like relapse. I would just end up going from 20 times a day to back up to 35, you know what I mean? And then I'd have to get put back up onto them, and it would keep happening. And every time I just came a wee bit lower and stuff, I just get so sick. So I just kept on constantly getting put back into the hospital. I was on like azathioprine, honestly, I can't even remember all the first medications I was on. I remember I was taking 25 tablets a day, I was taking so many tablets every day, and just kind of nothing was happening. So the steroids were the only thing that were keeping me out of hospital, but still too sick to the point where I couldn't do anything, you know. So anytime they get dropped, I dropped with them, you know what I mean? So it was like I couldn't do anything. This carried on, honestly, it was literally just a battle of like coming off the steroids and getting out. I hadn't left the house. The longest I went was 7 months without stepping out my door. You know, like I could not leave the house. I could not do anything. I couldn't drive my car. Like I had nothing. So I just kept on getting sick. It was just literally 2 years of being sick, going into hospital, coming out of hospital, lying to get myself out of hospital, or that, and going back into it. And every time I'd spend longer and longer in, I was getting iron infusions, getting put on all these biological medications and stuff. I was getting basically just getting put on every medication you can think of. I've been on it, you know. They just put me on everything, and absolutely nothing was working. I could not get a break from it. It was just constant, just go to the toilet, bleeding, losing so much blood, having to get bloods done. I was getting my bloods done twice a week and stuff. I was, I constantly kept dropping, and I didn't know what to do. And it just, the mental health, like, area that it was awful. The things that it does to, like, your mental health is insane. I couldn't leave my house. I couldn't do anything at all, you know. And I remember just sitting there being like, I would do anything just to be able to walk around the supermarket. You know what I mean? The smallest wee one that I could get, I would do anything for it.
So the thing that you wanted to do when you're feeling so low was walk around
honestly,
the supermarket?
I was like, I would take that. That would make my week, you know what I mean?
That just shows you how bad your mental health was.
Exactly. Like, honestly, see, because I was just shitting myself all the time as well, you know what I mean? I could not do anything.
At what point did you write the song Speech From My Head?
So that was January 2000. What year are we in? 25, isn't it? 2023.
This is 2025. Welcome to the show, Cairn.
So it was January 23, 22. My guitar teacher, his son's actually a musician, and I'd spoke to him, and I really wanted to, I'd been sort of writing music and playing loads as well, and I kind of came up with some stuff and had an idea, some songs, and I messaged him. He was a singer, he was a producer as well, and I was like, I really want to meet up and do a song with you. But I was just, I kind of was really sick at this point as well, because I didn't really know how I was going to do it, but I was like, I really want to do it. So what ended up happening was, I remember at this point I was kind of doing okay. I was still really sick, but I was like, I could maybe get out of the house for an hour or so, you know what I mean, at best.
Because your normal changes, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does, you know, exactly, yeah. So
your level changes.
Yeah.
If you're constantly sick, you know, you've got to.
Yeah, that's it, exactly.
That's how your life's changed so much.
Yeah, and I messaged him, and he said that I can come over to his house. He's got his own wee studio in his house. He's got a bathroom right at his door, you know what I mean? So I was like, right, okay, I can give that a shot. So I drove down to his, and we sat in the studio, and honestly, we recorded the song in like 3 hours or so, you know what I mean? We wrote and recorded the song at the same time in about 3 hours. And that was one of the most fun things I've ever done, and that was one of the things that kind of kept me going, you know, was the fact that I got to do that and have that song, and that got me really into my songwriting as well. So that was actually the first song I've ever wrote, you know. So
and we're going to play the song at the end of the podcast.
Awesome, yeah.
And I heard the song before I ever spoke to you, and I honestly I'm going to make your head bigger here. I think it's absolutely beautiful, and I think I would urge everybody to listen to it, to download it. Or can you buy it, or is it free download?
I don't know how it works nowadays, to be honest with you. I just it's a Spotify, you know what I mean? Who knows? Yeah.
No, if you go to Spotify, Cairn Murphy, Speech From My Head is the name of it. And do you know what I did? I turned everything off in the house.
Yeah,
I did. I turned it because I listened to it, and I just in the background. Just because I wasn't thinking of much. Yeah. I wasn't thinking it was going to be much, and that's the map. That was me, but you know, that's bad. So I just put it on in the background while I was working in the office, and I had it on, and I went, "Oh, hang on a minute, that's perked my interest."
Yeah,
and I listened to it, and I thought that's really perked my interest, and I turned everything off in the house. Turned everything off in the office, and I I had silence, and I listened to the song properly listened to it.
Yeah.
And I listened to the words, and I have to say it was very emotional, because it gave me an insight into where you were. And I'll be honest with you, it's such a, I think it's really, musically it's beautiful, but the insight with the lyrics and the song, and a real, it's, I don't know, man, it's like a mirror into the soul, you know,
absolutely.
and where you were, and it's, like I say, it's fucking sad.
It was, yeah. You know, it's a sad time in my life, you know.
But that sad time's created something beautiful.
That's it. Exactly, yeah. And that's what I use a lot of that inspiration for music and stuff I write just now. And I think that's the best music's the thing that's actually about something real, you know. And I wanted to write about sort of my experience. That was the only kind of thing I had going, you know what I mean, was my colitis. My full life just became about my colitis, you know what I mean. So it was all just that. So
the song you wrote before your operation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So when just to jump on a little bit, we'll go back to the music after this. What happened? What, you know, was there a conscious decision by the medical team to have that chat with you? You know, you're going to need surgery, or what happened to get to that point?
So leading up to my surgery, I just dropped again. I had one of probably the worst flare-ups I've ever had. It was just one of the worst feelings on the planet is when you know you've got a flare-up and you have to go through the full thing again for the 30th time. And but something was different about this one. There was something really different about this, and I knew straight away because I went into a ambulatory care or something like that. I went into, and they gave me some steroids and basically sent me home. And I'm like, there's something really not right here. Like for the first time ever, I wanted to be in the hospital. That's how I knew something was so bad. The first time ever I actually wanted to be there, and I was like, there's something really wrong here and stuff. And they could not have gave two shits. You know, they just sent me home, just the same old. And that they gave me steroids, so like, try this, come back to as if this doesn't work. And I was like, right, okay, whatever. So I went home and I took these steroids. Usually I'll take 8 steroids and I'll feel better a week later and stuff. And I'm like, I'm not feeling any better. If anything, I was getting worse again. And I'm like, this is the first time it's ever happened that my steroids haven't worked. So that kept happening, and I was like, no, there really isn't something right. And then it was maybe a couple of weeks later, I remember, so obviously like I had blood in my stool. I went and there was blood in my urine, and I'm like, okay, why am I bleeding out both holes now? Like, what is going on? Like, this is not a good thing. I'm like,
maybe a wee alarm bell.
I know, I was like, well, this is weird. What is going on? So I was like, no, this really isn't right. So I ended up phoning the hospital. They told me come straight down. I came down, and it was an absolute nightmare. This is the worst hospital admission I've ever had at the worst possible moment. So I went to A&E, and I was sat in the waiting room for a few hours of that, and then I get told to come round the back and that. So I went round, and they gave me like it's not, what's it called? It's not a bed, but it's like kind of like it's like a small bed. I can't think of it. A trolley. Is it called? It was like a trolley. They gave me a trolley, and obviously I'm 6'3", so I was like hanging off the thing, so I didn't even fit on it. And then I was kind of just left with that. They came and done some tests and stuff, and it was just the same old. All my inflammatory markers were all off the scale. You know, everything was all wrong, and they were just like, but I was telling them, son's not right. I'm taking these steroids. Nothing's happening. I'm now, you know, peeing blood as well. Like, I don't know what's happening. And like, right, we're gonna get you sorted and everything. I was left on that trolley in A&E for 3 days in a plaster room, so I didn't even get put into like a ward or anything. I was actually put in on a trolley, so it wasn't even a bed. I didn't fit on it, so like, I mean, from the back of my knees, that's where I was hanging off. Like, I couldn't fit on. I was left there for 3 days before I was even given a bed. I was ill. The nurse I had, I mean, most of the nurses are lovely and they're such hard workers. I have so much respect for them. This nurse was horrible. This is like the worst nurse I could have got. She was lying. So my mum was sat with me the full day. I was so ill. And my mum said to the nurse, like, where's his blood? He should be on like fluids. I needed like IV steroids and stuff. The nurse went away and lied about the fact that he's already had his blood done today. And she was like, no, I've been with him all day. No one's came to take his blood. So then she'd obviously been caught out lying. We ended up having to complain to like the head nurse of the A&E thing. I think she got in bother for that as well. And they came, took my bloods, realised I was severely dehydrated as well. So they had to give me that. The toilet I was given was the one that people would come into to do like all their stool samples and all this stuff as well. And like, so there's people constantly in and out the plaster room.
Good to see you're getting VIP treatment.
I know, it was amazing. So so people constantly in and out the room and stuff. And like, I was just, I couldn't deal with it. And obviously, because I'm having to rush the toilet, the trolley had like the IV machine like attached to it and stuff, so I couldn't even like go to the toilet. I had to press the buzzer, waiting a nurse coming to take me off to then go to the toilet, which isn't great for someone that has about 3 seconds of urgency, you know what I mean? So the urgency was so I had about 3 seconds, so honestly, so it was just a nightmare. And then eventually, this was over the weekend as well, so none of my IBD team were in, my consultant wasn't in. Another thing was a nightmare was my consultant. I'd met him once in the 2 years because he was off sick for like a year and a half, so I hadn't even seen my consultants. I had no one really actually taking care of me. So I went through the full thing with the IBD nurses who were all lovely, they were all amazing and stuff, but I had no consultant, had no one actually fully, properly taking care of me.
Yeah.
Or that. So finally it came to Monday, I got put into a ward and a new consultant came to see me. And he was like, I'm your new consultant now. I'm no longer going to be with the other one. And he checked my bloods and stuff. And he was like, we don't know what to do. You've tried all these medications. There's nothing really left that we can give you or stuff. And like, we're going to do a wee scope and that and basically see. But they were like, we might possibly have to look at surgery. So I was like, okay, you know, I obviously freaked out. I was crying. I was like, oh my God, like surgery was my biggest nightmare. You know, I was terrified of it. And they done the scope the next day, and then again the following day after that, everything just, it was, I don't know what happened. It was like it flipped again. I got way worse overnight. Basically, I just got awfully sick. And then they came back. The stoma nurse was actually the one that came in, and she was like, yeah, like if you don't get surgery, you're gonna die in a couple of days. Like they said, like you.
She used those words.
They said like you're no.
So is your mum here at this time?
No, so they were just coming in. So I was myself, and she came and told me this, and the nurse came over, and the doctor eventually came to see me, and like yeah, like it's you're perforating, like I was tearing or whatever the word was, and stuff like you're going to need to get emergency surgery. We can't wait. So like you've literally put about 48 hours, is what they say to me before.
Wow.
And then at this point,
I can't not put myself in that position.
Yeah.
You know what's going through your head when you hear those words.
Honestly, it was shocking as well. At this point, my mum and dad weren't even in yet, you know, so they were still coming up, and I was mentioning like, please get here, like this is bad and stuff. So my mum came up. They seen that I was obviously sitting greeting and stuff, and the doctor went and took my mum and dad outside and told them what was happening and stuff, and then my mum came in and I could tell even my mum and dad, I could tell both of them were trying to agree, like they were trying to like not freak out for me and stuff. And it was just awful. That feeling, I've never felt anything like it. And I had my family came to see me, and it was like almost if I was saying like bye to my family, you know what I mean? It was like, it was horrible. It was, I honestly, I can't even explain it. And knowing the inevitable that I was going to have to go for surgery and that something's going really wrong and that, you know, like, I don't know what's going to happen, you know what I mean? I was so scared, but I was kind of already at the point where for a few months I was, I knew that surgery was an option, and I was getting to the point where I was so fed up feeling the way that I was feeling. I was actually thinking of even just giving it a shot anyways. If this hadn't happened, I was probably going to suggest anyways, what is the options of surgery, even getting the details about it. So by doing that, I thought I'm going to do some research and try and see what people are like with stomas. Is there anywhere that people, you know, like have a social media page or that about their stoma. I found a girl on YouTube from America who had a stoma. She was quite cool, and like that kind of made me feel a bit better. And that's where I went on. I got sent a newspaper article for the Daily Record, and it was a Stephanie, and that was Life with a Stoma. And I was like, oh, who's this? And I was like, oh, she's from Bellshill, she's got a stoma, she's 15 minutes away from me, 20 minutes away from me and stuff. And I've looked her up on Instagram and stuff, and I followed her, and I'd honestly spent the few months leading up to like when I got my surgery watching her videos, seeing what her life was like with the stoma and everything like that, which was obviously crazy now to think about, that she's one of my closest friends. So
I mean that goes back to what we were talking about earlier on. Stephanie's page is phenomenal. She's a phenomenal person.
Absolutely,
she gives back so much through that page. the ups and downs, the highs and lows. She's really really honest. You know, quite very inspiring to say the least. But the fact that, I mean, what you're saying just really backs up what we were talking about earlier about the power of these pages.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because that's put you in a different mindset.
Yeah, it did. It actually made me consider the surgery because of how well she was doing. She was going to the gym, she was living her life, and that's all I wanted. You know what I mean? I wanted to be able to go to the gym, live my life, do all the things that I'd been missing out on. And obviously because I was like 17, 18, 19, I was 20 when I got my surgery. So during that time, you know, I'd obviously missed a lot. I was seeing my friends going out having fun, getting to do all these things, and I'm sit, you know, rotting away, you know. So it was
you're isolated, aren't you?
Exactly, yes.
Horrendously isolated. So you've got your surgery?
Yeah, I then ended up going for the surgery.
I mean, let's get into some positive stuff
here. Yeah, exactly. Let's do it. I know, let's actually get to it. So I went for the surgery. Surgery went really, really well. The surgeon I had was amazing. And yeah, honestly, the way I explained it, I said to my mum, like when she came through to see me like the next morning after my surgery, I said to her, I was like, I feel a million times better. I don't even know how to explain it. I just had major surgery, waking up, you know, coming round from it, and I felt a million times better than I had the last 2 years, right after getting major surgery. And I said it was like having a breath of fresh air. You know what I mean? I don't know how to explain it. It was like, I just felt so fresh and like so like much better, you know. It was like I could tell it was out of me, you know. So I just honestly, I felt great. You know, I mean, probably was also the you know, the drugs that had you on and all. It probably was doing a bit of that, but I felt great. I feel so much better. You know, I hadn't really seen the bag. Obviously, I had like my bandages on, and like I hadn't actually looked at the stoma that year because I was a bit feared to, you know, because the organ hanging at my stomach, you know, is a bit.
But that's only natural. But I think what you're saying is, you know, for many people that went through that, it's, you know, for you, it saved your life.
Absolutely.
But it also, you didn't know it quite yet.
Yeah.
But it was giving you your life back.
Yeah. So like, because I'm dead squeamish and stuff as well. Like I'm so squeamish. I can't deal with like stuff like that. This was, I knew it was going to be a huge challenge for me, but I was too focused on the physical pain of having surgery, you know, the mental toll it was going to have on me. So I was more scared about, am I going to wake up in agony? You know, what's it going to feel like? You know, because I'm obviously getting cut open and having to get a big surgery. So I was more scared on how sore is this going to be? How long am I going to be sore for? That was what I was more scared of. Honestly, like it was painful, don't get me wrong, it was agony, it was really no good, but like you had painkillers and all to help with it. I didn't think about the mental aspect of it. You know, I kind of forgot about the fact I was getting a bag and what I was going to end up having to deal with.
Because it seems like an old cliche now, but it's so true. It's like, it is a new normal.
It is,
to say the very least.
Yeah, I knew that was the beginning of the rest of my life, you know what I mean? So I just knew that I was going to have to deal with that. I was too scared to look at it and stuff. I was just being patient. Basically, I was just wanted to recover and sleep. You know, I was in ICU at this point as well, so I was just trying to get by. And I remember the third day, I always like a saying like at the hospital, that's always the third day after surgery is your worst day.
Is that right?
Yeah. And I remember the third day, kind of coming around, I was a bit sore and stuff. I knew the stomach, I just burst out crying. Don't know what happened. It was almost as if like that. I get too, like what happened before with like my mum, I burst out crying to I'm so ill and all this stuff, I need to get seen. Almost if it happened there, I don't know what happened, I just broke for some reason. And that I was just crying, was struggling. And then that was the day where I met my stoma nurse again. And I was going to do my first bag change, and she took me away to the bathroom, did my bag change. The second I seen my stoma, I passed out. That was me. I was out cold, and I was like, first time I seen it, I passed out. You know, it was quite scary because my band just came off. I seen all my wounds and stuff, and then I seen a hole in my stomach with an organ hanging out it. You know what I mean? So it was quite daunting. So.
Your own organs.
Yeah, my own organ hanging out my belly. Yeah. So that was a lot. So passed out the first time that happened, and then that's when I knew this is going to be a nightmare to start with. I knew the beginning was going to be hard, but I'm like, oh god, I didn't know it was going to be this. So, and obviously I was so scared I was going to pass out and stuff, so I get really terrified of the stoma, and I kind of really struggled to do the bag changes and stuff. So I was in hospital for maybe like 10 days after the surgery, and or maybe it was longer than that. And yeah, then I was on the final day was where I finally done a bag change myself. It took me 10 days after my surgery to be able to do a bag change. I mean, I was very much like, you know, looking away and like could hardly look at it. And no, I'm a pro at it now, you know, it's fine.
Ninja,
exactly.
ninja.
Sometimes I still freak out a tiny wee bit, you know, sometimes it's still a bit like, well, I look at myself and I'm like, I can't believe I've got this, you know what I mean? Like, times where like, I'm getting changed like that, I just see I've got a bag, sometimes I forget I have it. and accidentally like, hit it, or like I'll hear it. I'm like, what
I've got a question. Because I know, do you name your stoma? Because I know people name them.
I do. I have named my stoma, yeah.
Have you?
I have. I've named it Eugene.
Eugene?
So my favourite movie is Crossroads. It's a movie about blues music and stuff, and it's got the Karate Kid, like the original Karate Kid's like the main guy in it. And there's a big guitar. Yeah, that's it, yeah. There's a big guitar battle.
Swayze?
Who?
Patrick Swayze's in it, isn't it? Crossroads.
Is he?
Is it?
I've no idea.
Oh.
I don't know.
Did I make that up?
Craig,
Crossroads. we need help here. I want to say Patrick Swayze's in there.
Is he?
I'm going to embarrass myself.
It could be. No? I don't think it is, no.
Is there no a new... Is it? Oh, no.
It's a movie for the 80s.
I know that.
Yeah.
We need to know this.
I have no idea.
I thought Patrick Swayze was in it.
I've seen the movie about 30 times, I was going to say.
Oh, no, man.
I've seen it so many times.
It's really embarrassing for half a movie buff. Who's in it?
Ralph Macchio.
And?
Steve Vai's in it.
Steve Vai, yeah.
Really?
Aye, so the big guitar battle at the end and stuff, and it's called Eugene's Trick Bag.
Right.
And that's just my wee bag of tricks, you know what I mean? So it's like, I called it Eugene. I'd need to give my dad credit for that one, to be fair. He likes trying to give me names for it and stuff. So
yours is Eugene.
And it's called Eugene.
I like that. I like the story for it.
Yeah, it's actually one of the hardest things I can play in guitar as well as that. So that was good fun. So I sat and practiced that loads. Well, I was sick. It's actually one of the main things I practiced during the time I was ill. I know that's what my stoma's named after. So it's brilliant, Love that.
So you're at the hospital. You're moving forward, and I don't know. I've met you no long after that, I think, and you were sharing your experience, and that that's a hugely testing time.
Yeah, you phoned me 3 weeks after my surgery. Yeah,
perfect timing.
Exactly. Yeah, you were on holiday during that time as well.
I did.
Yeah.
We did, and then you came to Red Hot Ball. You played your song.
Aye, I've got a fun thing about that was that's how I met Stephanie. So I remember that I'd seen she'd done work for you or sort of videos and stuff before. I'd seen that.
She became an ambassador for charity.
And I was like, oh, I wonder if she's going to be at the ball, And this was only 10 weeks after my surgery, that ball. And
can I stop there? I think I'm getting mixed up with Roadhouse.
Still thinking about that.
Aye, because it annoyed me. Carry on.
Aye, so I was like with a story about that. I was wondering if she was going to be there and stuff. And I got to ball. So it was this only 10 weeks after my surgery, and obviously we had our allocated seats and stuff. And I went and sat down, and then I remember I was sat talking to Scott, the one I performed with. And I remember I turned round and she was sat right beside me and stuff. And I was like, oh, well, that's her, that's that lassie. This made me feel so much better about getting a stoma and stuff. And then Brandon shouted over to me, was like, oh, are you nervous and all that stuff? And Stephanie turned to me, she's like, what are you nervous for? And stuff. And I was like, oh, I'm performing. And she's like, how come you're performing? And I was like, oh, I've got like a stoma and stuff. She's like, oh my God, me too. And I was like, you're life with a stoma, aren't you? And she's like, aye. And then I was like, yeah, that was how it happened. So I mean,
we starstruck.
Aye, that's it, exactly. So I'm talking to a superstar right now,
A superstar.
Yeah, absolutely.
Superstar. But listening to you, I'll be honest with you, Cairn, listening to you now, and listening to your story and listening to where you were, it's, to me, and I don't know if anybody's ever said anything like this, it's like two different people.
Yeah, it honestly is. That's so not even just like two different people with like the way I act, see the way like how sick I was and how I looked. I've went from so many extremes, you know what I mean? I went from so skinny, such a pale face, to being on steroids. I went from 48 kilos to 89 kilograms in 3 months. You know what I mean? I put on my body weight, you know what I mean?
Wow.
In a matter of months. And I went from being a bit chubby, obviously steroid face, big chubby face and that. I was like unrecognisable. And then obviously just after my surgery again, I dropped all my weight. I lost all my weight from being sick. I think I lost 16 kilos in it was like a few weeks, like a month, a few weeks during the time that I was just before my surgery. That's how I knew it was really bad, because I'd never lost weight like that before in my life. It fell off me, so I ended up becoming dead skinny again. Then obviously over the time of me from when I had my surgery, I've just slowly been gaining weight and strength and stuff. So it's
Oh, but do you know what I love about you? It's almost like you've got this zest for life, because I think, well, it certainly appears that way to me. You can let me know, but you've got this zest for life, and you're just happy to be here.
I love life.
Because I know,
absolutely love it,
because you've been so close, and it's like this massive appreciation.
That's it. Yeah, honestly, I don't say no to anything. You know what I mean? I'm always up for everything. You know, I would love to. I just love going out. That's what I mean. So I went from just wanting to go to the supermarket to now being on a podcast to getting to play shows and stuff, and you know, like getting to do all this stuff that I've dreamed of doing. You know, like it's now all happening. So I love it. I absolutely love it. It's quite overwhelming. Don't get me wrong. This time, so I'm like, I've got it now, and I'm like, this is actually terrifying. Like everything I've wanted, I now have, and it's like I can be a bit overwhelming and stuff. You know what I mean?
Just mean, if you take the basics, like, you can go to the supermarket anytime you like.
I know, I do it, you know what I mean? I'm at the supermarket all the time. I'm just a weirdo, you know what I mean?
Supermarket's not for me. That's my wife.
No, fair enough.
It's not for me. So it's getting used to that new normal, as we spoke about.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that comes with certain challenges as well. And I think, how did... You're a young lad, handsome, to your mom. But seriously, so I mean, like any young guy, you want to go out there and you want to date, or you know, and how are you feeling about going out there and putting yourself out there with your new normal?
Absolutely, yeah. So when I first got my surgery, my girlfriend at the time, it was something that I kind of struggled with, but I'd been with her for a couple of years, you know what I mean? So it's like, it wasn't too scary, you know, it wasn't as if it was like a new relationship or anything, but it was still really scary, you know, and it was I don't even know how to explain it. I was scared and nervous, but I wasn't as bad. But then when I ended up being single again and stuff, that's when it really hit me, you know, because it's like, I'm going to have to meet someone new, and, you know, they're going to have to learn everything about me and about the bag, you know what I mean? So
how did you deal with that?
Not very well, to be fair. I started off with like I was on like the dating apps and stuff, and I would meet girls and speak to girls.
What was your preferred dating apps of choice?
Are we going into this? Hinge was quite good. Yeah, Hinge? I mean, I didn't really like them. You know, they were just a bit rotten. But at the beginning, you know, they were all right. And your guy get me like caught out of sunny, didn't you?
How can I catch you?
I don't know.
It's your story.
I know exactly.
I don't know this one.
Yes, I went on them, and like I would talk to girls and stuff, and it would start off, I thought was going well, and then they'd be like, ask, what is it you do and stuff, and I'd be, I'm a musician, I'm an ambassador for a charity, and we would mostly go, oh, what charity? And I'd be like, oh, Catherine McEwan, it's for like Crohn's and colitis and stuff, and they'd be like, oh, what's that, or why are you doing that? And then I'll tell them about the bag, and I'd either get left undelivered, or I'd get told, oh, that's disgusting, or that's, oh, what's the bag? And I'd be like, oh, my organ comes out my belly, and that's where like my stool goes and stuff, and that. And like, oh, that's disgusting, or like, oh, like I had a girl say that I would smell and stuff. I've had girls say that's disgusting, just point blank, just ignore me and stuff as well. And,
so what?
You know,
so obviously that feels bad.
Oh yeah, it was rotten. Yeah.
And where do you think that comes from? Why do you think somebody would say that to you? To anybody?
Ignorance, to be honest with you. Just
exactly what it is.
Don't want to sound bad saying this, but there's a lot of people out there that haven't had to have big challenges that obviously people like all of us have and stuff, you know, and I think that can be a big part of it, you know, because until you kind of go through something horrible, you don't really gain the perspective of it, you know, so you don't...
But I think like when... You said, I mean, the word ignorance is absolutely there, but it's uneducated, isn't it, as well? And that's why you doing what you're doing and sharing what you share and being so open and educating people to say that it's you know, it's fine. Absolutely,
yeah.
You know, and you know, it's just you're the same person. You're not defined by Eugene.
Exactly.
You're not defined by your experience. If anything, what you mentioned earlier on, and I can kind of relate to this as well to a certain extent, and that everything that you've been through has got, I always refer to what I've been through with my mum passing away through Crohn's and stuff like that as a massive dark cloud, but I always refer to the foundation as that silver lining.
Yeah.
And the silver lining is massive.
Yeah.
And your experience with what you've been through is so dark and it's so traumatic, and and to come out the other side is so admirable. But to come at it with the spirit that you've got and the lust for life that you've got.
Exactly, yeah.
I love life.
I do. Honestly, I always say that.
I know.
It's a blessing in disguise. Honestly, I see it as it's like, obviously I lost what's meant to be like the best years of your life, you know what I mean? Being like 17, 18, 19, I lost all that, but like, because I love my life so much now, it's like almost all worth it. And like, because of this, I got to play guitar all the time. I'm now getting to play with all these like artists and stuff. I'm now like from the charity and stuff with Stephanie helping me get in a band, and with the charity getting to meet with Robin and stuff, like that all this has helped me, without the charity and everything's came from this, you know what I mean? Everything leads back,
as I said
to me being sick in this charity, you know what I mean? So
as I said to you at the start of things, I'm very much looking forward to my 20% cut of all future earnings.
Like I said, fuck you, So sorry about that.
It's a bit harsh, man. I feel as if you're not appreciating the magnitude.
No, I do appreciate it a lot. I appreciate you a lot as well. Everything you've done for me, honestly. I always say it.
Listen, you've done it yourself, mate, to be honest with you. What would you're going through? I mean, these are come back to your dating app days. That's, I mean, it's really, really quite bad. Somebody saying that to anybody, no matter what it is, and coming for a point of ignorance and things like that. You clearly got over that.
Honestly, it bothered me at first. I was just about, that's just, it felt bad for like someone to obviously say that to me. But I'm like, again, a blessing in disguise. That's someone who wouldn't actually care about me. Imagine that was like, I wasn't sick at that point and I met this person, we started going out, and a few months later I got sick and stuff, and then they would have just left, you know what I mean? So then I get to see the people that would actually, that don't care about stuff like that, or would actually care about me. So it basically got rid of the girls that I don't want to be with anyways, you know what I mean? So
it was a magnificent
filter. That's what I see it as. I see it again as a blessing in disguise. So I just thought, you know what, I'm going to put my main photo as a photo of me with my bag. Brilliant. Just a photo of me. I was in Italy, just me and my bag out, I used that as my main photo. And
do you know what? That's ballsy.
And it worked, it helped. So that's how I met my current girlfriend. That was actually the thing that got her to message me as well. Was the fact that I had that. She's a type 1 diabetic, and she's got like the pod and stuff. So she's kind of, she's got like a autoimmune disease as well. And that's actually how we connected. First of all, we started speaking about that, and then that's here we are. So that's how it all started.
Love.
Yeah, so that was it.
Sweeping on. No, that's brilliant. But I think there's lots of people that would watch this that have gone through a journey with getting a stoma and things like that, and that physical side of things when you're new relationships or even in existing relationships is challenging for them, in their mind. How will people react to them? Will they still find you attractive, sexy, whatever that is? And how is that? How did you feel about that from your point of view?
I mean, I'm always sexy, to be fair. So what was the question? I forgot the question already.
So feel that through this full experience, you clearly lost your confidence.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah.
So what you're basically saying is that bag or no bag, you'll just always be sexy anyway.
That's it, exactly. Even more sexy with the bag, you know what I mean? Who knows? Who knows?
Brilliant.
I don't even know what I'm saying anymore.
Okay, I know. You're being you. Is there any advice you would give to anybody that's kind of, that's gone through what you went through and then get up there in relationships and things like that?
Just embrace it, to be honest with you. See if people aren't going to, you know, like you, love you for who you are, and if you've got a bag or not, you know, then fuck them, they don't deserve to be in your life, you know, they don't deserve to get to know you, you know, so I'll just always be yourself. It's very cliche, I think, just always be yourself, but it's so true, you know what I mean? It's cliche for a reason, so be yourself, just embrace it, and yeah, that's it.
I think that's absolutely phenomenal advice. If they don't like it, fuck them.
Exactly.
Superb.
Absolutely.
Absolutely superb.
That's the mindset I had for it, you know. I don't, if they're not going to, if they've got an issue with it, then.
So, I mean, the last couple of years since you've been through the op of, you know, you've just, you know, watching your journey, you just went from strength to strength, you know, and I'm a big believer that I think you build your own luck in life.
Yeah.
And I think the way you go about things and your attitude is attracting opportunity, and you're attracting the right people in your life as well.
Yeah, just manifesting it, you know. Yeah.
Oh, it's an old card. No, that's a cliche. I've manifested this.
Manifested
exactly. I do believe that you can, you know, with the power of visualization and what have you. But I think people are I manifested myself in a big sausage roll this morning.
Well, I did.
You managed to.
Exactly. Many of them as well. So
24. No, fair play to you. And we touched on it a little bit earlier on about finding your tribe, finding those people that you can talk to. You found your tribe, haven't you?
I have indeed, yeah, I absolutely have. And I want to thank you for that as well, because we could have done that without you. So you're the one that done this. You had to give yourself more credit for it, you know. So
not at all. I could not possibly take credit for putting yous lot together.
You maybe don't want to take credit for it, to be fair. Yeah, that's probably the one.
That's it.
Yeah, honestly.
So tell me about them.
So Brandon was the first person I met with a stoma. The very first person I met in person with one. You introduced us when you invited me up to where was it again? Was it Doubletree?
Yeah.
Yeah. And that was the first time I got to meet Brandon, and little did I know that guy was going to end up becoming, you know, my best mate. You know, he's honestly, I love the guy. He's absolutely off his head, you know, and yeah, I don't really know what else to say about it other than it's half his head.
In the nicest possible way.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. I absolutely love him to bits, you know, and then meeting Stephanie at the ball, you know, both of them are just characters, you know what I mean? Both of them are just the most wild folk you'll meet. They're mental. I absolutely love the pair of them. And then obviously getting to meet Bethany and Katie and stuff as well recently when they've become ambassadors and stuff. And then we've all got a night out planned on Saturday.
I heard that. So
which is all good, yeah.
I heard this. Where he's heading to, is it?
I don't actually know. I think we're going to Maggie's. Who knows? I hope it's a late night though. I can't wait for it. But my first ever night out, because I'd obviously been sick during like the times where I could go out, like when I was able to go to the pub and stuff. My first night out was with Brandon and Stephanie.
I think I've seen pictures of that.
Yeah, my very first night out I've ever had was with they two and stuff. And then, we just, it's brilliant, you know.
Do you know what I think? I think it's brilliant to see. But you know, a lot of people are not that lucky.
No, absolutely.
They're quite isolated and maybe don't know that. And that, I think that just backs up what we're talking about earlier on. Talk to people and it will come.
Absolutely.
You know, and I think that's one of the things that we're so big with at the foundation is try to build community and build that support network. Now, it's unbelievable the click that you guys have had as, you know, like a little rat pack. But it's, it's spitting with it being kind of sentimental and emotional, but it's a special thing. And long may it continue, but it's great that you've got that support net. Great you can go out, great you can have a laugh. You mean your shared experiences of your jokes that frankly nobody else would want.
Exactly.
Yeah, but you know, these are great pals, but you are also there for each other to support, because you know, it's
just like another family, you know what I mean? I just see them as family now, you know, so it's honestly the best group of people I ever could have met and be associated with is them.
Good, long may that continue. But you'll eventually go off Brandon. But talking to Brandon, Brandon is online on Insta is the IBDPT.
Yeah.
That's right. Oh, it's a bit of my so the IBDPT, and I hear that he's helping you in the old gym.
He is,
doing a bit of PT for you.
Yeah, I finally get to You know, I'm a skinny guy, so finally get to bulk up. And I mean, he probably wouldn't condone the 40 sausage rolls either, to be fair. So hopefully he doesn't hear this. But he's PTing me. I'm getting to train with him. And so it's kind of hard because obviously he's Paisley and I'm Buccleuch, you know, so he's still at 40 minutes away, 45-minute drive. So still quite hard to meet up with him all the time. We try and meet up every couple of weeks or that and get a catch up and go to the gym and stuff. And
is it helping you?
It is absolutely helping me. Yeah, he's got me started on a programme and stuff. I'm going on holiday in June, so I need to get, you know, a bit muscly for that, you know. So, you know, so he's got me on a programme for that. So I'm doing 3 days on, 1 day off. So I'm training 6 days a week and stuff. And
where are you going on holiday?
I'm going to Tuscany.
Check you.
I know, I'm going to Tuscany, yeah, cannot wait.
Very nice. I would love to go there.
Yeah.
Now, just on that, I remember not that long ago that you were going abroad for the first time with the bag.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
How are you feeling? So anybody watching this that's maybe going through something similar, how are you feeling about that? And have you any tips for anybody going on holiday?
So my first holiday I went on to was to Italy. I went to Sorrento, and the first tip for anyone with a bag: it does not blow up on a flight. That's the biggest myth on the planet. People all think that your bag blows up on the flight, like say like a pack of Pringles, like.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? The air
man.
pressure doesn't happen to the bag. It's not a thing. You know, there's like, what's it, ventilators, whatever the hell it is that's in it. You know, it's stops that from happening. So yeah, that's a myth. That's what I was terrified of. I remember phoning Brandon and Steph, and they were freaking out. Like, what if my bag blows up in the plane? You know what I mean? I've a shit in the old woman in front of me. You know what I mean? So
there's a fair degree of comedy value in that. But
I know exactly. So I was so scared of that. But honestly, just empty your bag before you get in the flight. And honestly, I mean, I don't want to speak for everyone, but for me, I was absolutely fine. I had no issues.
Yeah, you can only give the tips that work for
exactly, yeah. You know, my bag didn't fill up anymore. Some people say like the bags can fill up a bit quicker or that because they being on a flight, it done nothing for me. You know what I mean? It was just everything was the same, so there was absolutely no issues with it.
Make sure you've got plenty of supplies.
Make sure you get plenty of supplies with you. You know, to always take extra. Take what you think you'll need and then 10 more. You know, just make sure you've got way more than enough. What else is there? One thing I was anxious about was the pool, going to the pool at holiday. And I did get some funny looks and stuff in my bag and stuff, but no one really cares at the end of the day, you know what I mean? You'll get some looks and stuff, but, you know, you're walking about with a bag, so, you know, people don't know what that is. People are obviously going to look, you know, so just embrace it, let's say. Just make sure you're always embracing everything, you know. Just go head on, you know. Just who cares, you know.
Strut.
That's it, exactly. Who cares, you know. So, yeah, that's what I'd say. Just extra supplies, you know, your bag doesn't blow up, and just chill it, you know what I mean? Just relax, you know. That's the best thing.
Good for you. No, I think that's really sound advice. And so you'll be 6 packed up by the time you get there through Brandon's
I mean, probably 3. The bag will become another 3, you know. So 3 pack in a bag, you know. So we'll go for that. I'll take that.
Brilliant.
Brilliant. Not if I keep eating these sausage rolls, to be fair. I'll just, you know.
Well, to be fair, you're currently built on the side of the five.
I know, exactly. I could do me the world of good.
So tell me this. What does the future hold then, Cairn? What does the next period look like for you? I know you're playing Pavilion Festival.
Playing Pavilion Festival, yeah. I'm getting to play some shows in England in May, and I'm playing some shows in June and July as well with a country artist, which is really cool. I'm a big fan of country music. I've signed with another new band. I'm not going to say too much on that.
I was going to say that. You sound vague. You're allowed to say who you're playing with.
I mean, I'm sure I'm playing with Dylan Squire. I don't know how. I don't want to say too much of that. You know, I'm going to say way too much. You know, but yeah, I'm playing with him, which is really cool. It's a great opportunity.
So, Dylan Squire's dad's quite famous.
Yeah, his dad's John Squire from the Stone Roses, which is awesome. You know, one of my favourite guitarists, which is just unreal. And yeah, Dylan's a great guy. Love working with him. His manager Paul Quinn was the drummer for the Soup Dragons and for Teenage Fan Club. So he's a Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so he's an amazing guy. I love working with them all. With Robin, with Dylan, you know, my own band, getting to write my own music, hoping to release a bunch of stuff. So I'm hoping this year's just filled with music, you know. And
brilliant. And is that Robin Red that you're going to
Robin Red? Yeah, Robin Red. I'm playing with. Yeah, she's an incredible country artist, lovely.
She's amazing. She played the honky tonk.
She did that. Yeah, that's where I met her. Yeah, so I ended up going up to her and saying, if you need a guitarist, let me know. And thankfully, she did let me know that she needed a guitarist. So that's what I'm.
It's another 20%. No, that sounds super exciting. You know, just embracing life and running with it, man.
Exactly. Yeah.
Absolutely phenomenal.
Yep.
Absolutely phenomenal. We're going to just kind of finish up in a wee bit, but there's, you know, over your journey, there's just two totally defined cairns.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know this just that horrendous journey that you went through, and then after you got your stoma, then the lease of life and your list for life.
That's
and,
it. Yeah.
And honestly, I love watching it. It's brilliant because you've just got this super energy about you, and you know you're taking it head on. You're obviously super talented musician, and you know these opportunities are coming up, and you know from the bottom of my heart, I'm sure everybody watching this will be following your career, and you better not make an arse of it.
I know, honestly, I'm sorry if I do, guys. This is my.
you won't.
I better not. You know.
Yeah, you absolutely won't. What would you say was the lowest point for you through this journey?
The lowest point. Honestly, I got to the point where like I just didn't want to be alive anymore, to be honest with you. I was at the point where like I genuinely was thinking of just killing myself, and I thought I would much rather not be alive than have to go through any of this. And honestly, see, if I didn't have the family that I have and the music and stuff, I genuinely think I would have done it, you know. So
I mean that's a shocking thing to hear for anybody.
Yeah.
Looking at you now.
Yeah, I know. You wouldn't expect it, yeah.
Sadly, that's a mindset that comes in on occasion to your community. What would your advice be to somebody who's in that mindset?
Everything does get better. I know, like, I was at the lowest of all lows where I genuinely thought that death was the best option for me, and I promise it always gets better. I thought that I was going to be ill from 17 all the way to my 50s, you know. I thought my entire life was going to be this, and it wasn't, you know what I mean. I'm now the happiest I've ever been. So I know it's so hard right now to think that things can get better when you're at the biggest low of your life, but it honestly does. It always does get better, you know. It might get worse before it gets better, but it always does get better, you know. So just don't do it.
That's sound advice indeed. I was going to say what's the highest, because you're just high in life every single day.
Honestly, just getting to be here, you know what I mean? This charity is one of the biggest things that's ever happened to me, you know, my music, you know, everything. I honestly I love it.
Good for you, mate.
Yeah.
Good for you.
Thank you.
Right, we're going to go to the quick fire.
Oh no, this is what I'm stressed about. Right, okay.
You don't, listen, we'll just slag you if you can't answer.
Right, perfect.
3 things that make you happy.
3 things make me happy. Guitar. Catherine McEwan Foundation. I know, shite, innit? And
you don't need to say that because you're here, by the way.
It is, honestly, it absolutely is. And guitar and friends and family.
Brilliant. And we mentioned this a little bit previously, but 3 bits of advice you would give to someone that's gone through a journey with inflammatory bowel disease.
Again, have someone to talk to, you know, and if you don't have anyone to talk to, you can always find someone to reach out to, you know. There's so many people out there that are doing this, you know. Even me, message me, you know. I'm speaking to people from all over the world. I've spoke to people from Canada, America, Ireland, Wales, England, you know. I've spoke to loads of people. Motherwell, exactly. You know, I've spoke to people from, you know, the town next to me to across the country. So you know, it's, you know, have someone to talk to, you know. I'm here as well. If you need someone to talk to, you can message me. More advice. What's more advice? It's hard to give advice, you know what I mean? It's just when you.
Do you know what? You gave some great advice a minute ago, to be honest. just when it feels low, it's going to get better.
It always does get better, exactly.
And I think it was, I can't believe I'm saying this in the same sentence, a wise bit of advice that you gave as well. Sometimes you may be going to get worse.
You get worse before you get better. Yeah, absolutely.
That's
amount of times I thought I've hit an all-time low and then I hit an even more all-time low, you know what I mean? It's like it keeps happening, but then you fucking bounce back, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Then you're great. So I mean, again, it gets better, and again, fucking embrace it, you know what I mean? Just especially with the bag more in particular, just embrace it. Don't be shy or self-conscious. I know it's so much easier said than done, because I've had my fair share where I've felt self-conscious and stuff, but just embrace it, you know what I mean? It's just, at the end of the day, that's your life now, you know what I mean? That's it. So you have to embrace it, you know what I mean? So you have to own it, and if you own it, you feel better about yourself, so
definitely, and it's not worth thinking about other people, is it?
No,
definitely not.
Absolutely not.
3 things that piss you off.
3 things that piss me off. Derek McEwan.
Join the queue.
Honestly, 3 things that piss me off. Leaks are horrendous. Same amount of time I've woke up with shit in my belly button. It's insane. I had to get a new mattress all a month as well, which was awful. So leaks are a pain. What was a pain? Does it have to be like IBD related, or just anything?
You just give us what you like.
Breaking a string, that pisses me off and all. Honestly, bag leaks, breaking a string, and I don't know. It's hard. Why can't I think things that piss me off? I'm sick with Derek McEwan.
You've already mentioned.
Yeah, that's 3.
What would you hope for the future in inflammatory bowel disease?
I hope that it becomes more known. I hope that people become more educated in it and realise, how bad it can be, and that, especially the mental toll this can have on people, and the comments that you can make can really affect someone, so I think that's a big thing. Obviously, cliche, a cure would be great, so
amazing.
I don't see that happening anytime soon, but that would be obviously amazing. And I'm good at thinking of 2. It's the 3 that gets the third one that always gets me.
Let you push the boundaries.
Let me think.
You're fine.
I'll go for 2. You know what I mean? I don't know.
Cause you're a muso. Top 3 songs.
Top 3 songs. Oh God, right, okay. All Right Now. I like Slow Dancer Burning Room by John Mayer. That's the song that got me into guitar, That's the main one. And we'll go for another John Mayer. Edge of Desire by John Mayer is another one. They're my main songs,
Okay.
Or Wildflowers and Wine by Marcus King.
You only get 3.
I know, I can keep going, I'll keep going. Yeah.
Your favourite 3 guitars?
I've got a 1969 Fender Telecaster. What guitars that I own, or just in general?
Yeah, you play.
Okay, yeah, 1969 Fender Telecaster that I own, my PRS Silver Sky, and my Joe Bonamassa Les Paul.
Fancy that.
I know.
That's quite a collection.
I've got a lot more, yeah. So a lot more.
Quite right, it's your passion. Finally, top 3 gigs you've ever been to?
Top 3 gigs I've ever been to. I've actually only been a handful of gigs, because I've only been able to go to them for the last year. But I've made it worth it. I've been to see my favourite artist. I got to see John Mayer. I've seen him twice. Seen him in Ireland, and I've seen him in Scotland. I've went to see Marcus King. I've seen Kingfish, Joe Bonamassa. I've seen so many people. So
brilliant. Good for you.
Yeah.
Well, Cairn, it's great to see you.
You too.
And it's been brilliant to have you on GUTSY.
Thank you so much for having me on.
It's your story's incredible, but as I've said to you loads of times, I've said to you today, your lust for life's infectious, and it's brilliant to see you in such a great place. Yeah. I think you should definitely mellow out in the amount of Greggs sausage rolls that you eat, because that skinny frame's not going to last too long if you keep on that. But
that's all right.
You just do what works for you,
I
pal.
know, absolutely.
Thanks for coming on.
Of course,
Cheers.
Thank you so much. Cheers.
Bye bye.